Sidestepping across at the end of 1991, I was actually watching a few wintertime Supercross videos of that season a few weeks ago, and you were a good Supercross rider. A lot of people maybe in America don't realize how good you were at Supercross at that age. You went to America the beginning of '92, I believe. Rode a few
Yeah.
races. I think you got a top 10 at Houston. You were running well at Daytona as well. And from what I remember, you didn't have much preparation going into that season. So how were your feelings on the Supercross track at that time? Because you were racing a lot of heavy hitters with Jeff Stanton, Damon Bradshaw, Jean-Michel Beale, and you were pretty competitive. And if an 18-year-old rider did that now at the Premier Class in Supercross, there'd be a lot of hype about how well he was doing with limited preparation. So your actual results and your skill level on Supercross, I think, is maybe a wee bit underrated.
Yeah, that's true. I had good skills on Supercross, and I had a lot of interest in. And actually, my early days, I had in mind to go to US and ride Supercross. That was my ultimate dream at that point, or at that stage. And when I started racing GPs, then I mean the Supercross scene in Europe was at its best. So there was so many Supercrosses all winter. So I went from motocross into the Supercross winter season, and then back to motocross, and I did that for a couple of years until slowly I started to become tired. I had no recovery anymore, and I started to go into injuries. But the '92 season, pre-season, we went to US. We did 6 Supercrosses. I came straight from the Army base because I had 1 month of Army training schools. So I had no training. I went to Houston. I went on the final and the main. I went 12 laps. I went on P3, and then I dropped back to P9. So I had good Supercross riding skills, and the next rounds was also good. San Diego was good. I mean, Daytona was good, but I just kept on crashing. I was having good speed. I was one of the fastest in the whoops, but I just always crashed my brains out, and that was a pity. I never could come into that top 5, even that I had the speed and the Supercross skills. So I came back from US and I went into the international races and the first GPs, and I just smoked everyone. I was well prepared. I had a lot of aggression, and yeah, I was ready for the '92 season until I lost my spleen in Northeim. So it was a bummer. Anyhow, after that, I continued try to win the 250 title, and that only happened in '95. But by '95, I was a little bit out of the Supercross winter scene. Also, Supercrosses start to go down. Was not so many anymore. I mean, the classic one like Bercy and Geneva and all that, they survived it. But I just needed to have a break in the winter. So I came to the point to make that decision to go US or stay in Europe. And then also Dave Grant had a lot of influence on my decisions back then. And eventually I decided to stay in Europe and try and chase the titles from Joel Robert. So that was my next ambition. I was always, when one thing is done, I was already busy with the next thing in my mind. That's the next goal. So I'm always looking ahead. I never stood still. What happened today? No, I was already busy with what's coming tomorrow.
Do you regret not moving to the US, or were you happy now with all the accolades you have in the World Championship that turned out to be the right decision for you?
No, I'm happy. I'm satisfied. I mean, I had a little taste of that Supercross scene in '92, and they are great memories for me. Racing Anaheim and San Diego, Daytona, the big classic races over there, and I'm happy to say I stood on the start line there on the main event, and I raced them. So it was a super experience. But I don't regret deciding to stay in Europe and chase the records of Joel Robert. And so I'm happy that I'm the one who put the new records there, and we'll see who will be the first one to break them.